All right, welcome to Infinite Transmission. We are chilling out in my car in the parking lot of AMC Theater, and I'm Josh.
I'm Allie.
And we're joined by special guest.
I'm Amy.
All right. So we don't have video for this just because it's in the middle of the night. Literally, it's 1 a.m.
It's 1 a.m.
It's the latest I've been up in a long time.
Me too.
Welcome to the nightlife, guys.
Yes. I do feel old for saying that. Yeah, agreeing with that. Yeah. We just got out of seeing the live action adaption of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And we'll do a spoiler-free talk up front, and then we'll do some spoilers afterwards. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're spoiling.
Not much
maybe
to spoil,
maybe we don't even need to say that because everybody knows the story anyway.
I mean, if you haven't seen the original, you're probably not going to be seeing this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and listening to this podcast. Maybe if you're 5, you haven't seen the original and you're seeing this, but.
Yeah. Well, we all aren't 5, and
true.
we wanted to see this.
We're far from 5.
What did everybody think of just initial reactions of the film?
I actually thought it was pretty great. You know, I didn't have great expectations. It kind of like the same thing with the Cinderella remake that they just did a couple of years ago. It was kind of like, I'll see it, whatever, hear good things. But I actually was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, Amy, what's your thought?
I agree. I mean, I had a lot of friends already see the show, and they gave good reviews, but I still came into it skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I was captivated. I kind of forgot some of the story.
Yeah.
And then watching it was kind of exciting to remember watching it as a kid and say, oh yeah, that's what happened. So
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's a little bit of the nostalgia
yeah.
to it. Plus just the new adaptations that were brought into it as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I went into it about the same with a little skepticism and low expectations, and especially ever since that first one we saw, Maleficent, I have just
ruined us all.
I have not liked this trend of live action versions of classic stuff, and to hear that this is the first of 19 more that Disney has planned
blows my mind.
19, like you can't think of.
I know, right?
Of 19 like better original films, but you have to do this, and so I didn't.
Can you even think of 19 films? Like, I mean, I would have to seriously sit down and put some thought into like what they could possibly.
Yeah.
Like 19.
And if you knew Allie's DVD collection,
Yeah.
that is saying a lot.
That's
Now,
right.
if I said that would be.
Now, I think Josh might have a bigger collection than I
Maybe,
do.
yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. We might rival each other.
Yeah.
Well, for the viewers out there, I do not have a very big collection.
I think it's like, what, 5 movies now?
5 DVDs.
I hope they're
total.
5 really good ones then, at least.
They are the Jason Bourne movies
Yeah.
and Phantom of the Opera,
Oh, classic.
and I think one of the Toy Story movies.
Nice.
Speaking of Phantom of the Opera, have we decided this is not like this is...
We're just gonna.
Yeah, we're
there's
just
no
gonna roll
spoiler,
with it.
non-spoiler section. Forget all that, folks.
Sorry, we'll erase that. But did anybody else have a moment in the beginning when they're like in the ballroom and everybody's dancing that it felt like Phantom of the Opera?
Sure.
The style of singing, obviously it's like an opera-esque singing in the beginning, all the costumes and everything. I was just like, am I watching Phantom? It just had it had a very Phantom of the Opera-esque feel, like the movie in particular, that I love. I've seen it a million times. So for me,
Phantom,
it felt like the masquerade scene of that. I don't know. Did anybody else?
Yeah, I mean,
feel that way?
now that you say it, I do.
Yeah.
I think the singing, the style of the singing that they do in this is resembling Phantom.
Yeah.
I agree. I actually thought the exact same thing. Not in that scene, but in other parts of the film. It was nice that Alan Menken, who composed the original Beauty and the Beast, is still around, thank God, and he was involved in composing all of the new stuff for this as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and while he didn't write the new lyrics, he composed the music for all the new songs.
Sure.
And there was a lot of added content in the film, and it did remind me of Phantom and of just Broadway plays in general. Because you had your main numbers, but then you had these filler kind of mini songs that didn't necessarily have a verse-chorus structure, but... filled in the blanks.
Right, especially when you're seeing, like, the Broadway version, in comparison to a film version where they cut out that kind of filler. So I agree, I felt that, too.
If this was on a Broadway play and this was the modern version, I feel like those songs would have naturally kind of been in there.
And it would have, felt like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And so with them in here, it was a little more singing than I expected, but I didn't mind it. And a lot of the new songs I thought were great, especially when they use some of the same chord changes, but just placed differently. And so it felt like it fit with the original songs. They weren't like stark differences.
They had a lot of that main theme weaved in throughout a lot of different musical numbers, which I liked. I actually really love that score, that particular piece of Beauty and the Beast. I'm not going to sing it because nobody wants to listen to that, but you probably, I actually was pleasantly surprised with Emma Watson singing. I think that they definitely, they changed octaves for her.
Sure.
So she wasn't singing as high as, like, the original Belle went. But I didn't mind the octave changes. I thought it was kind of nice. And like a nice differentiator from the original. It's like, it wasn't exactly our songs, but it worked. It wasn't so done that I didn't care for it, I guess.
Since this is kind of the music section of our review, I'll just say that I love Beauty and the Beast to death. I've loved the soundtrack to death. When we went to Epcot, I bought a little music box because I just love this music. And I did feel at times, especially with the old original songs, like someone was singing a cover of the song. You know, just like when you have a band and you really like that song and you've listened to it a billion times on the CD, and then they sing it live and they sing it a little differently.
Yeah.
You could still enjoy it, but you're like, oh, that's not how I hear it in my head.
Right.
And I felt that sometimes during this film. It wasn't terrible, but yeah.
And I get that. I think for me, though, I would rather them do it well and written in a slightly different manner than force, to sound exactly like the original and it not go well, especially if you didn't have the singing voice to pull it off. I would have rather them rework it so it still sounds good. And, I don't know. What do you think, Amy, being the singer in the group?
Yeah.
Well, I was really impressed with Emma, for sure. As you said, I was taken aback by it. Whenever you have an actor and actress that they don't predominantly sing, or I've never heard them sing before, I'm very skeptical and sometimes a lot of times disappointed. And I was pleasantly surprised with her. Forgive me, I don't remember the actor's name for Gaston, but
I can't think of his name.
Luke Evans. Yeah.
I wasn't wowed. I don't know. I mean, his singing
by his singing,
yeah. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't that Broadway-esque. Wow, listen to that voice. It was just somebody singing the song. Does that make sense?
And his song felt a little muddled to me as well, just the whole group. But go ahead.
I mean, I agree with you. I don't think he was super great. But at the same time, I think I was okay with it because of his character. He's just that character. Yeah, very superficial, very like a character you don't like. And so the fact that his singing voice wasn't great didn't necessarily bother me. For me, in this film in particular, it kind of just added to the annoying part of his,
Yeah,
the annoying
that's true.
character that he was. Like, he can't even sing so great, but he's, that's not the worst thing about him in this film.
Yeah. He didn't sing, I agree, he didn't sing that great. Josh Gad did fairly well as the Foo.
Oh, I think he was, like, exactly the
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he played that guy's character, like, to a T.
Yeah. The guy that played the Beast, when the Beast sang, it did feel a little auto-tuned. It didn't feel as natural.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But Emma Thompson as Mrs. Potts, I thought was probably about the closest thing you were going to get to the original actress. I can't think of her name, but she's the Murder, She Wrote woman.
Is she really? I did not know that.
And she is just great. She's gorgeous voice.
I did love her.
Emmett, I really do feel like Emma Thompson was channeling her when she was singing it.
Yeah, I liked her. She was a little bit less polished than I remember Mrs. Potts being, in terms of she had that, like, I don't know if down home British accent is the right. But, it's like a less polished English accent that you would expect from somebody uneducated, which probably works for the storyline, being like, the time period it was, being like in the service class. I can get that. But, like, I just remember Mrs. Potts just being that very, proper, like, sweet voice, whereas she was just a little bit more rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree with that?
I could get that.
I mean, I didn't dislike it. It was just different.
I remember her as well in the
Yeah.
childhood. 'Cause
Right.
It's been so long.
It has been a long time.
Yeah. One last thing about the music, and then we'll move on. And it's just fresh in my head because I just was with Randall Andrews on Soundtrack Alley talking about this. But oh gosh, I just lost my thought. What was I trying to say?
It's that staying up later than you're used to.
It is. Oh
It's
my
the
gosh.
being old and 1 o'clock in the morning type thing.
It's wearing on me so much. Yeah, I can't think of what I was going to say.
It might come back to you.
It might, yeah. Okay, well, moving on. Yeah. Crap, I totally just lost my spot. Well, we were talking about the characters, the cast. I think the cast was great. I think, is it Kevin Kline that played her dad? I think that's his name.
Yes, I believe
He
so.
was great as Belle's dad. I liked that a lot.
Yeah. I liked, and we talked about this a little bit when the movie concluded. I liked the changes that they made in terms of character development or character makeup. Like, that her dad was not an inventor, but he was an artist. And Belle was more the inventor, or in
she
some
had the
respects,
more creative spark to do things differently,
like
or more proficiently,
right, with machines or whatever.
Yes.
Like, she created the thing to wash the clothes while she was reading a book or something like that. I liked that. I liked that they made, like Amy said, that they made Belle less of the girl in distress and more of just, like, the independent, strong character, which I really enjoyed. I think Emma Watson was the perfect fit for that, knowing how she is, a major feminist.
I was pleasantly surprised by that, because in so many of the Disney films, it's always, oh no, the damsel's in distress and the guy has to save, and he's the whole reason that the day is saved, essentially. Right. And in this film, in the adaptation, I just love that it shows that the woman is strong and she's working really hard as well to help save her dad, and she stands up against the beast, and whereas I feel like in the original film, it's just, oh no, I'm just weak and scared, and in this one you have that girl strength. It was just a good complementary blend between the male and female roles, where I didn't feel like it was all of a sudden awkwardly dominated by the female.
Yeah.
But it had a much better blend.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, like, being an adult, too, thinking of the Belle story, you know, as a kid, you don't really think about it, but as an adult, like, she is really the princess that, I mean, is the independent, feminist type princess. I mean, she's
So much so, I don't think she's ever really called a princess.
Right.
Even at the end, they're not like Princess Belle, because even calling her a princess would almost, like, you know, make her less of a character.
And she even said in the movie, like, I am not a princess. I mean, of course, it was in a different part of the context, but, you know, I mean, she's literate, which a lot of women in this time period when this is set were not. It was kind of, it was frowned upon. She didn't want to be the housewife. You know, the dull-brained, you know, man save my life, rule my household kind of woman. And I really appreciate that, especially now as an adult.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly, to have that good role model for little girls and for little boys too, to see that.
Right.
You know?
Very much.
Yeah,
This is the type of imagery you should have for a girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I love also with Belle what they did, and this was in the original, but I don't know, to me I guess it just rings more now, is that, you know, the whole town just saw her as being weird, even though, I mean, she was very intelligent, but they didn't want to take time to get to know her just because she was different.
Yes.
And I love that, you know, the different people are the people that actually prevail.
Yeah.
Right.
Where, you know, showing that it's okay to be different and to stand up for your beliefs, or being okay with it. You are a little bit different.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the ode to the Disney message, you know, like, I love that, you know, beauty is not within, you know, what's on the outside. It's, you know, what's within. And this is a great story, you know, for both ways. I mean, yes, Belle is beautiful on the outside, but she doesn't want you to look at her outside beauty. She wants you to look at her intelligence and, you know, all these other characters that make her more than just, you know, a pretty face. Whereas, you know, then you have the Beast, who is a beast, you know, and he was ugly on the inside, but you know, and anyway, I agree. It's a really good. I mean, it gets pretty deep if you really, if you really peel it back.
For a Disney film, because sometimes with watching films that are geared towards children, sometimes they're very two-dimensional.
Yeah,
very much.
Get kind of bored, and they throw in some jokes for adults to kind of keep you going.
Yeah,
because you have to go because your kids are dragging you.
Yeah, this is for you.
Yes, no, I agree.
But in this one, there's, you know, a lot of depth in the characters, which I thought was really refreshing.
And that depth, and I did remember what I was going to say, that depth came from new material. And as far as the music was concerned, I was intrigued by their choice to bring in new music and to take out some of the old. If you've ever seen the special edition of the original, they brought back music that they had written that got cut from the original film. Like, there was a song called Human Again, to be human again, stuff like that. That was thrown back into the special edition where it wasn't in the original theatrical, but they took it out of this in favor of new tunes, and I thought that was interesting. And then added content that brought depth to characters, like the story of Belle's mom, and why her dad is the way she is. And what the part that I liked the most was up until the point where she leaves the castle to be ambushed by wolves. Up until that point, I wasn't bored, but I was like, wow, this is very paint by the numbers. I mean, it's paced. They're really getting through this. And then they started adding in content, like a little more as to why they would fall in love with each other. They added dialogue between them, a couple different scenes that was more than just a montage, so that you really did feel like chemistry was building between the characters.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was very well done.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was in the same boat. It felt like very cut and paste. And up until that point, and then it was like there you saw the differences. And it was nice to be able to actually see those interactions because they took time for them. In the movie it was just like, oh, they fall in love, there it is. And this, I agree, I really enjoyed that aspect of it too.
Well, and again, I haven't seen the original for a long time, but I just didn't remember. I knew Gaston was just kind of, I don't know, an airhead or just wanted her for her looks. But dang, like they really made him out to be really bad this time, and I don't remember that, and maybe I'm just remembering incorrectly.
I
do.
They added things to him.
Leaving the dad stranded like that.
That wasn't in the original.
That wasn't in the original, but he did, if I remember correctly. Josh, you may have seen this more recently than I have, but I believe he did throw him out of the bar when he came looking for help.
Yeah,
originally he threw him out into the snow out of the bar. He did get him locked up in an asylum, saying that he was crazy.
But they didn't go out into the woods.
No,
they didn't. So that was new, and then his backstory of being a captain in the military was added as well, and that kind of gave a little depth to why he is the way he is, and so just little things like that. It gave him a little more layers. Yeah. I did like the layers that they gave to the Beast with his father being cruel. And his mother dying and whatnot, and that was actually the point where they did the first new song and stuff, and I liked that as well. Yeah,
I liked that backstory. I will say I wasn't as big of a fan of the very beginning opening story of how he was cursed and all of that. I didn't enjoy that as much as I remember in the original. It seemed
the original
a little...
was a stained glass, more fantastical thing,
but I don't mean in terms of looks. I just mean in terms of the story itself. I don't know, just something about it.
They changed it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't bad. I think sitting into it, I was like, I'm not sure I'm gonna like this as much as I was hoping. Even though I wasn't hoping very much. At the time.
Well, I think. I don't know, just right now with our conversation about talking about character depth, I don't really feel like there's much depth to the Beast. And maybe that's the point, I'm not sure, but the story is a lot about him, and it kind of would have been cool if you could have got even more of a backstory or a little bit, and I know that would have made the movie a lot longer.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, maybe a couple events leading up to kind of how he got cursed.
Well, I mean, they gave you more than the original. They said that his dad was cruel. And then the Mrs. Potts said that they kind of failed him by not stepping in, and it just kind of you just assumed that he became his dad type thing. But yeah, it could have been more. There was something else I was going to mention. I agree. I didn't really care for the beginning sequence, but I guess that's just how it was and whatnot. But I mean, for the most part, I enjoyed all the extra stuff, and they did pay tribute well to, enough to where you recognize things from the original. Is there anything that you just really did not like about the film that you can remember?
I think mostly just the beginning. Some stuff that I, started off thinking I would not be happy with, like the CGI... of the Beast, at first I was like, oh, this is gonna be bad, but it ended up being
CGI in a few things.
The wolves were rough.
Felt they when they moved around, there was no weight to them, and I was like, I've seen animals done better than this.
Yeah.
So every time it showed the wolves, I didn't really care for.
And then it's kind of like, well, they probably put most of their money into animating the Beast or whatever,
and the clock and everything else.
Yeah, because those looked great.
Yeah,
all the the inanimate objects that were animate. I thought they were animated wonderfully. So the Beast, the first couple of times I saw him, I was just kind of like, but it got better. He grew how he was animated grew on me, I guess, as the film progressed.
Yeah, well, sure, it did.
I mean,
Well, it had to grow on you, especially with all the dialogue the added dialogue they gave him. Some of the other things they added, like the trip to Paris, was interesting.
I wasn't a super fan of that, honestly.
Okay, some of the things that they added with the curse I thought were interesting, some didn't work. Like, one of the things that I always remember people saying was, how could there be a prince and a castle in this land and everybody not know about him?
Right.
And they did address that, saying that not only did she curse them, she wiped everybody's memory of them.
So they didn't, right. Yep,
right, so that was smart.
I liked that.
But then, the addition of the magic book, and it was meant to torture the beast, saying you can go anywhere, but you'll never be accepted. But it seemed more like a really cool gift than a torture device.
And it was just kind of thrown in.
Well,
to me.
And if it's to go wherever you wanted to go, I understand why Belle went where she went, but how come all of a sudden now she's getting answers to her? I mean, I get how they were trying to fill in the backstory of what happened to her mom, but it was done very strange.
Yeah,
well,
I feel
you really had to accept it, because it kind of gave a little bit to why she's different than everybody else in the town, because she wasn't born there.
Yeah.
She was born in Paris, and she kind of remembers it.
She's way too young to remember it, though.
But apparently remembered enough to be at that place.
Right.
I don't know.
It's just, it was odd. To me, that felt... That and the beginning were probably my least favorite parts. This felt forced. It was like, what can we add? How can we bring her mother in? Let's put a magic book. I mean, that is not mentioned again. Not mentioned in any other way. I mean, it was just like, oh, this really could be really cool object. I mean, is there for about 5 seconds and really becomes inconsequential. I mean, it was just weird.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're trapped in a castle and you have this tool that you can essentially go wherever...
But do they really go there, too? That's what I mean...
Because then you didn't see the book,
really
and, like, how'd you go back? It was... Yeah, it probably could have been, like, a deleted scene that I would have been like, that's an interesting take. I'm glad they didn't put it in, but...
Yeah.
It's interesting that made the final cut,
Yeah, I wasn't...
I wasn't put off by it as much, but I think just because I love the original so much, I would just wait for things and they wouldn't be there. Like, little things that does not ruin the movie for me, but like the end of their dancing, I was waiting for off to the cupboard with you, and that didn't happen, you know, and I was like, oh, darn, you know. But I thought and the other thing that I thought was kind of comical in my mind was a lot of people, and I agreed, always thought that the final reveal of the prince at the end of the cartoon, he wasn't like amazing looking.
Yeah.
And then
he was kind of weird looking a little bit. Yeah.
And it was kind of the same in this. Like, I liked the guy. He was on The Guest, and he was on that British show, what's it called? Downton Abbey. He was a big person in the first couple seasons. But when he came back, I was like, okay.
You know, maybe that was part of sticking to the original.
Maybe.
He looked better when he was all done up.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you just become off a beast, you know, his hair was all kind of funky.
But he was kind of short, and he wasn't, like, extremely handsome. But maybe he was also supposed to be young, and maybe he'll grow into handsomeness. I don't know.
But, you know, it's again, going with the theme that we're talking about. You know, beauty is not skin deep.
That's true.
Because I kind of like when in that scene, they kind of zoomed in on his eyes and showed...
Yes,
sure.
That's how she knew.
Saying, okay, I know that it's still you. Like, she wasn't like, oh my god, you look amazing. You know,
I'm in love with you now for sure.
And,
you know,
and shots like that very much were the same shots in the original. I did feel like they tried to do similar shots in certain things, like her running up the stairs, and I liked those choices.
Yeah.
So.
I thought in the moment when you think he's died and everything, you know, the spots and everything goes to the inanimate object, I almost wanted to tear up.
I almost did.
That was very emotion provoking.
was.
That was a strong scene.
It
I
was.
like that.
For a Disney movie, I wasn't expecting.
Mhm.
And when you know the ending.
Yeah.
But
You know,
I was
but
sitting
yeah.
there, even though I knew the ending, I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope they come back. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I was-
and
It's
with
true.
Miss Potts looking for a kid, and then the kid
Yes.
almost like crashes.
You
You
and they
think
save
he's
him.
gonna break.
And I was
and-
like, ah! Yeah.
No, I agree.
That was a strong scene.
yeah,
I agree.
I almost did tear up, and then I kept thinking like, okay, come on, we know this is not how this ends.
I don't know, but I think that
But-
was probably one of my favorite scenes, just because it really took my emotions. You know, I was really,
Oh, you
really
did
into
swell
it
up.
at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Now, what do you guys think about the sorceress coming in at the end and being unnoticed?
I liked that she was unnoticed because she's been unnoticed in the town the whole time. She was the hag.
Well,
as,
no,
what's his
I
name?
understand.
She lived out when she
The widow.
Yeah,
That, yes.
when she rescued Belle's dad, I knew it right then that that's who she was.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, oh, if that's who she is, I would love this. That she stuck around
Mm-hmm.
to see what happened. And, I mean, I guess, in the original, she didn't. She was like, you're cursed. You're either going to get out of it or you're not. But I like that she ended up being there at the end and made it happen.
I mean, I liked it. I'm not saying I disliked it. I just thought it was really interesting that there's, like, this woman walking in the room.
Well,
and,
everybody else was fleeing for their lives. I
Right.
mean, they just weren't
Well,
paying
I mean,
attention.
nobody else was there. It was really just Belle and the Beast
Oh, sure.
who was dying. But it was just like, if I was grieving, I would probably notice this
Mm-hmm.
woman walking in and be like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, but maybe it's just me. But so
Yeah.
then I was like, well, maybe she's like, she's a sorceress. Maybe she's, or whatever you want to call it, like,
Mm-hmm.
just made herself like, I don't know,
Like
not
be able to be seen.
yeah, or something, like.
I guess.
I don't know. I for me, I just had a minute of like,
Mhm.
this is nobody's noticing this, just me. Okay,
I
well,
don't know.
I'm right.
I don't
It
know.
was
I
just a
think
second.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't long enough to like ruin anything or whatever, but it was just I had a moment of like, well, this is a little odd, but okay, I'll go with it.
But then right after that moment, when we start seeing everybody transform back, I liked that you didn't see everybody at the beginning of the film. And while I knew like Ewan McGregor was in this film, I did not know that Ian McKellen was in this
Right,
film
I didn't
as
either.
as the clock, whatever his name is. And
Yeah.
I love that. I was like, oh wow, that's a quirky role for him.
I
And-
know. I was like, it's Magneto and Gandalf. What the heck?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were in here.
And Stanley Tucci was the organ and whatnot. It was a big cast.
Yeah, it
When they all that was
I-
kind of like your presentation of the cast, and they all
Yeah.
came back. But I did notice some inconsistencies. Like Stanley had his teeth missing because his keys were missing.
And at the end,
But you didn't have the kid with the gash in his head because he had the
my
chip
gosh.
in his
maybe it
cup.
was a haircut thing.
Maybe, but
I
he
don't
should
know.
have been missing part of his brain.
Well,
Yeah,
that's decrepit.
no, not missing part of your brain. But I think that would have been funny if he would have had like a very distinguished
Scar,
Little
something like
scar
a
or
Harry Potter
something.
scar,
Or a
or
haircut.
just a haircut, like a really awkward
Oh,
kid
yeah.
like a
haircut
colic. Is
that's
that's could
They
Yeah,
missed an
I-
opportunity there. Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, I think overall we enjoyed the film.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
I
right.
honestly
I
didn't
really
think
liked it.
I was going to enjoy the film as much as I love our friend Jessica. She really liked it, and I was like, I'm probably not gonna like
Yeah, I know. I was kind of the
Does she
same.
usually steer you guys astray?
it. No, she
No,
doesn't.
She just likes things. She
Yeah.
just likes different things
Well, and
than we do
and
sometimes.
she goes to a lot of younger kid movies with her,
Oh,
her nephew, with
sure.
their nephews and
Her niece,
and
yeah.
niece and the kids that she
kid
watches.
nannies, yeah.
So I mean, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go see it, but
I mean, I
probably not
like-
gonna like it.
I like Disney movies. I like kids
Yeah.
movies. But sometimes there's movies that she likes that I'm just like, eh.
And adapting something that I feel is a classic, and especially, I mean, so much a classic. The Beauty and the Beast, the original, was nominated for Best Picture.
I did not
when
know
that came
that.
out. It was nominated for
Wow.
a cartoon was nominated for Best Picture.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and it lost, but
Well-
but that was
I probably would have
monumental.
known it if it had won.
Yeah.
I probably still would not.
So yeah, that's an crazy accomplishment of the original, and I don't think this is as monumental as the original. And I'll be
agree.
interested to know how well it does overall. But I think I really liked it. I was happy that I came out more liking it than not.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
I'm happy to have been pleasantly surprised with how much I liked it.
Pleasantly surprised. That seems to be the
Yeah, do
phrase
I keep
of the
repeating
night.
it? I'm sorry, I've said it several times. I know.
It's all good. Well, thank you, Amy, for coming out with us.
Yeah.
I don't think we were intending on recording anything, but
We
it's like we
never
might
are.
as
Yeah,
well.
we might as
you
well.
know?
What the heck? We're going to talk about it anyway.
Why
Yeah.
not stay up later?
Yeah, that's
There you
true.
go. So, thanks for listening, folks, and we'll have more content on the way. And infinite transmission is something that we're working on with each piece of production. It won't just be movie reviews. What we like to say is there's an infinite things to talk about. There's movies, books, comics, TV shows, everything nerd and geek and in between. And so keep on listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Right.